Greetings, I present Studio 3D Editor module of the Rekin system. 3D Editor Camera. In the previous episodes we have discussed coordinates, operating with the mouse in the editor, and the Scene tab in which we build the set design structure by modifying its parameters. Right next to Scene tab there is another tab, Camera. We will start working with Wizard, creating a new set design. We load one of the templates located on the right side. We will add studio elements in Decorations tab. Let's select a placeholder and add a studio element, for example a desk, and then a figure of talent standing behind it. When our studio is ready, with Close button we can return to the editor and continue our work. Turning now to the Camera tab, we notice that an item named Scene Camera is selected on the list. It enables us to move the camera freely in the editor, for example when building a set design. We can see the same position in the camera combo box above the preview window. This camera's position will not be stored anywhere. The next item on this list can be found under a name of Default Take. Let's select it. Now also a value in the camera combo box above the preview window has changed. We can freely modify this camera's position with left and right mouse button. In this way we set our own shot, which will be saved in the studio file on the disk. Above the list we can see an Add button with which we can create a new shot. Then a new entry shows up in the list with a default camera set up. We can set a new camera's position. A Clone button copies the camera's position, creating a new shot and a new entry in the list. This way we create a new shot close to the previous one. With Remove button we can delete a camera shot currently selected in the list. Next to it we have a button to change the name of the currently selected item. We enter the names for the created shots, Camera 1 and Camera 2. Below the list we can find the detailed camera parameters that we can modify with control fields. Camera's position, rotation or zoom. When creating the shots we can use buttons that lock individual coordinate axes. If we want to move the camera accurately only along X coordinate axis, we can lock Y and Z coordinates. With the left mouse button we can now move the camera only along X coordinate axis. We assign new parameters to the camera shot. One of interesting possibilities of creating shots is Orbit function. It is used for rotating the camera around a selected object, usually around the talent's form. We select an object with the cursor, it lights up in red. We rotate the camera around the selected object using the right mouse button. This way we can create some interesting shots. We rotate the camera around the object and we clone. The maximum number of shots is 15. They are stored in the studio file. Before saving such studio we have to choose the most interesting shot. It's best if it shows a view of the entire studio space. Only then we save our studio on the disk. From menu file we choose Save As and enter a new name. We've saved the studio file along with the shots. When loading this file we go again to the menu File and Load Studio. We select the file on the disk. And we can see that the most interesting shot that we chose before saving the file is displayed on the right side in the preview window. Let's move on to the production module. If we load our file from the disk again to the production module using Load Studio 3D, the first item in the list will be selected, that is a Camera 1 shot. Our shots created in the Editor's Camera tab will be loaded into VC Virtual Cameraman. Exactly the same camera settings will be loaded into each of the VCs. Below each of them we can see a name previously entered for the shot. Now in Camera Setup for each VC we can set up our own shots. However, they will not be saved as default ones in the studio file, but will be stored only for duration of our work in the 3D production module. In order to preserve the shots changed in the Camera Setup module, we have to save a session file that contains current production module's settings. After reloading the studio file, again, the default shots created earlier in the Camera tab will be loaded into each VC. The same for each of the VCs. In the case of ready-made studios available on the disk, the designer has set up their own default shots. We can see them in the Camera tab after loading such studio file. These are ready-made shots for live performance proposed by the designer. Thank you.
Wrecking. Keen on record.